artist?
Edo Jim the Bulldogs.
Oh no, that don't even sound.
I got to have it fame. Remember that joint? I got to have it. No.
Yeah, I do. But no, I thought this song sounded familiar, but it doesn't. Why would this song be too heavy?
Yeah, father to your child. Like it's about like deadbeat fathers.
I'm saying, like, that's not heavy, too heavy to play though. That's appropriate for the topic, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
A little bit.
It's heavy for me.
You said what?
It's heavy for me. Made me think of my daddy, how he left me, abandoned me.
Aww.
He didn't. I forgot we were on Facebook Live. No, my father did not abandon me. He did his own shit. Like he was a Rolling Stone for real. But
wait, why you gonna say that and be like, nah, we on Facebook Live? Why you so lie to us like that?
Yeah.
But how you guys' day been so far? You been good?
Yep, can't complain.
Now don't sit there like we all just said. It's been kind of a slow day. Sharell said it's been kind of
busy.
Same for me. I'm exhausted.
Yeah, my world, when it hits the fan, it all hits the fan at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Trust me, I get it.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely get it. So Sharell, what's up? I know you said you had a story that you wanted to share with us.
Yeah, so as y'all know, I love sticking on my social media and being nosy. And over the last couple of weeks, I've had a lot of stories pop up about the rapper Future. The last story was one of the mothers of his children posted a text message that he sent to his son in which he called his mother a hoe.
I saw that, yeah.
And this isn't the first time we've heard about some of his toxic behaviors towards his exes. I saw an interview last week with Sierra talking about how she handled dealing with him. And when I saw that, I was thinking, you know, I personally am not a natural mother, but what would you do in that situation if your ex sends your child a text like that, like degrading you as the other parent?
What would you do if you were in a situation like that? I mean, obviously I'd be pissed, but I'm the same way. Like, I don't have kids, so it's really tough to be able to say, I mean, obviously that's not okay, but I want to hear from the people on the stand who have kids and who, you know, who have been through these types of things. Like, I don't know, how would you guys react in that situation? How would you handle that if you see on the phone that your ex is talking shit about you, talking about your mom's a hoe or whatever he said? I mean, how would you even react to that as a person who is on a spiritual journey, of course?
Well, I can say that.
Spiritual hands. No, you're fine. Sorry.
I'm currently in a co-parenting situation. I make it my business not to say anything negative about their father to them or around them or in their vicinity at all. So if that was, you know, if he was doing that to me, I would be very disappointed, you know, beyond the fact that we're already having to co-parent. So I don't know. I think that's a talk that co-parents definitely need to have, you know. I mean, I think it should go without saying, but a lot of times it's not like that. You know, whatever me and him have going on have nothing to do with our interactions and our love for our children.
Right, right. Now, aren't there cases though where sometimes that drama does spill over into the kids and, you know, sometimes they can feel that negative energy? Like, what do you do to even prevent that from spilling over to the child? Or is it possible? Is it just a matter of managing it?
I think you got to know when to step away. You just got to know your triggers, and when it's getting way too heated and when it's about to pop off, you got to know that breaking point, and you got to be able to say, okay, you know what? I'm going to just leave now. I'm going to just stop talking now. You know, that's it. We can revisit this later. As far as it spilling over to the children, I mean, the children will always know that there's something is wrong with mommy and daddy. They're not together. They're not in the room. They're not talking, you know, they will always know that there is something going on. But, you know, even if we have to operate separately, You know what I'm saying? You get the kids this day, I get the kids that day, so that when they're around us, all they feel is love and compassion. You know, they're not going to sense the heated arguments. So, you know, and that's another way to just really go about it until you get to a point where you can take a walk in the park together with your kids, you know?
And that's the goal, or that should be the goal anyway, is, you know, relationships don't always work out. You know, it's okay. You know,
What we doing? We're taking strolls.
Going somewhere, I take walks in the park.
Right.
I'm going to Keyland or something, you know.
Hey, that family dream died a long time ago.
Talk about it.
Let me stop. Hey, yo, I can't say this much though. I really feel like there are so many different variables and factors that go into effective co-parenting, right? And now avoiding that toxicity into it. First of all, like I struggle with the topic. You know, I try to process today's topic, the title of it, because the answer is very fucking simple. No, you cannot, right? You cannot effectively co-parent with a toxic partner or ex-partner or whatever it is. Like that's the easy answer. But the reality of it is that parenthood is a journey, okay? And when you try to manage that journey from two different places, physical spaces and emotional spaces, it can be a challenge. You know what I mean? I can sit here and tell you that the mothers, I got children with 3 different women. That made me sound like a future type nigga, huh? Anyway.
It's the way you manage it.
No, but you know what I mean? Like the same way that I can say like, yo, shorty's toxic, they can say the same thing about me, I'm pretty sure. You know what I mean? Like different narratives, you know, when it comes to disagreements and stuff like that, it happens. The number one, the foundation of healthy co-parenting should be the welfare of your children. If we can agree on that much, and especially the emotional welfare of your kids, that's a starting point, right? We can build from that. You know what I mean? And as long as we maintain that shit in the forefront, it shouldn't be too difficult to bounce back.
But you know, so when you just said, they could say that you are toxic just as you say that they are toxic, but wouldn't the main difference be you are on a journey of spiritual, emotional, mental development, whereas a lot of times that other parent is not. So how do you maneuver a situation in which they're not even trying? And it's not just for you, this is for anybody.
Trying in what essence though? Trying and like they're not trying to just be there, step in and parent?
No, not necessarily trying to be there as a parent, but trying as far as their own journey of developing into a better person, doing their shadow work. You know, the toxicity in them that generally affects everyone, even outside of the relationship. Like, how do you maneuver a person who's just not trying to better themselves?
Won't get the help, right?
Exactly.
Know they need help, but don't get the help.
Right. Or do they know? Do they know that they need help?
A lot of times they don't, but I don't know. I can speak from personal experience. Like, even if they know they need help, it's just sucking up that pride to really go get it. To really say that, you know, okay, I need to make these necessary steps to be whole, to be healed, to, you know, work effectively together with my children's mother or my children's father. You know, a lot of times, a lot of people put off that help, getting that help.
So what does getting help look like then? And this is not just a question to you, but generally everybody, like, what does help look like? And how do you even communicate with that toxic ex that they do need help, even in the case which they don't know they need it?
I mean, it just depends on like what level of help. If you're talking about therapeutic help or some type of Alcohol Anonymous help or some type of narcotics help, like you just have to, what help are we talking about? Just help in general under the umbrella of help?
Yeah, I guess we would have to talk about in general because everyone has different issues, right? Everyone has different, like, I mean, a lot of our parents were, you know, alcoholics, for example. So getting help would involve, you know, getting help with addiction, whereas a lot of our, go ahead.
Help starts with like generational. You know what I'm saying? So like, if hypothetically speaking, I'm just going to use me. Like if my father or mother was, alcoholic and they didn't get help, I'm not going to get help because this is what I seen. You know what I'm saying? So that's just basically a generational thing. You know what I'm saying? So what I've learned from my situation is that, like, everybody can't go. I can't help you. You know what I'm saying? You got to do your own work. You know what I'm saying? So, but it's more harder on me because you don't want the help, but I'm sacrificing a lot on my end and trying to juggle both, my job and then the other parent's job. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to do, instill morals and values in my household. And then when you go over here, keep the same morals and values from here to over there, but those morals and values aren't the same. So when she goes over there, those morals and values have been, put to the wayside. Then she has to come back to me. Then I have to rebuild that. So that's a lot of stress, on my end. Yeah. I mean, so
how do you even protect your own health in trying to co-parent with a toxic ex or trying to protect your child? I mean, like I could only imagine, again, I don't have kids, but I can only imagine how hard that is maneuvering your own health on a day-to-day basis despite this.
You mean now?
Right, that's where I'm at too. Right
you mean
now.
Like you talking about right now or you talking about before? Because
I want both. I want both instances.
Before, it was hard. Like, all right, so before it was hard, right? Then my father committed suicide, so that was another level of something that I was dealing with on top of that toxic ex or whatever, trying to parent with that ex. So I was dealing with this before the suicide, so now I have this and that. You know what I'm saying? So that was, a lot to, I'm going to use the word unpack. So before it was hard, it was just like, I'm just going to, just go through the motions. That was before, but now, my therapist has helped me a lot unpack that, my dad's suicide, and then the years of the toxic ex thing. So before I didn't have the therapy, like the therapeutic thing. I've never resorted into any type of like narcotics or any type of alcohol to combat with the emotional feelings. I never did that. So I was just, basically carrying a bunch of emotions inside until I, found a therapist, and now it's easier for me to, go through the daily life of still the toxic parent or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel you. So that must have been tough. And I know we had that discussion before as far as just the pain of your father committing suicide. That in and of itself is like, it's tragic, So like, how do you deal with that? And now you have a whole toxic ex to deal with the child involved. I mean, it's just like, I feel your pain is what I'm saying.
Yeah, that was different. But the suppression of emotions from not having that supportive co-parent, you know what I'm saying? And then dealing with suicide, I realized through therapy that a lot of my parenting behaviors were because of my father's suicide. You know what I'm saying? So I was dealing with that. So a lot of my parenting behaviors, you'll never be an A1 parent, but you do your best, you know what I'm saying? Especially myself, you know what I'm saying? Single parent for the last 15 years, you know what I'm saying? So I realized that I was doing a lot of masking my emotion because I was trying to heal myself and trying to protect my child, who at the time didn't realize what suicide was. So I was lying to her and to myself about what really happened. You know what I'm saying? So that was just, and that just became a big scab over the truth. So, I just had to keep, putting Band-Aids on it until one day she was like, yo, like, I'm old enough now. But I don't realize, because I'm still trying to mask that pain and emotion, to say like, nah, like, because I knew what I was dealing with. You know what I'm saying? Having to tell my friends and people, like, you know what I'm saying, my dad killed himself and all that. So after the pain that I was going through with telling my friends, I couldn't even muster that to even tell my own child. You know what I'm saying? So once I was able to tell her, then it was more of a light bulb thing. Like, all right, now she can understand what was going on with me, why I was so the strict parent. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So a lot of my parenting behaviors was because of that situation. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Kind of to not quite piggyback off of that, but to kind of go back to your original question, Grace, Katie made a comment. And she said, often it starts by leading by example. Them seeing you shifting can give them an idea that change is attainable because they know you well and your story, and also how they might start to do the same. Kind of going back to that question you asked about, how do you deal with that person that is not necessarily on that same journey that you're on?
Right. I feel you. So what about, because I know a lot of you other guys also, have experience with this. What are your experiences like in that journey of parenting with, with an ex? I mean, even if the ex isn't toxic, like I said before, that journey is still, a struggle. But when you're on your own spiritual journey, what things do you do that you can share with the others to keep yourself centered in that journey and to keep yourself grounded? What do you turn to? What are your healthy coping mechanisms for that?
I guess I'll speak unless somebody wants to speak. Okay.
The world. You go ahead.
Okay. I'm just going to give a little background about me. I have a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old, and I am recently divorced. And it happened like around November, very suddenly. And I chose to leave because it was very toxic. And right now, I have like recently accepted the fact that there is no fixing, there is no mending, there is no nut. Because I used to do all that I could, and then I would be getting fucked up in the process.
Right.
Like all my shit would be like falling apart.
And they over there living the life.
Exactly.
Right. So what I've learned is to just, what I've learned now, like as of in this week, was to just remove myself completely. There is no coming over, hanging out. Even if you want to invite me over, even if you want me to be over, the kids see us together, there is a space, and I keep the conversation to a minimum. Like, okay, all right, gotcha. I'm not, no elaborate stuff. And then in the midst of that, I'm working on my own healing. And the way that I do that is I'm at the river, I'm sitting, I'm meditating, I'm doing my singing bowls. I'm using the methods that I used on other people to help myself. I'm in prayer, I'm manifesting, I'm doing all these things. I'm asking for like guidance and all of this, because what I realized is that my detriment is trying to do too much and not completely letting go when it's time to let go and you need to cut it off. Just finding that strength now. I've accepted it now, and just being by the water, honestly, being by the rivers, being in nature a lot is helping me.
I feel that 1000%. That's beautiful. And you know what? A lot of times, from my viewpoint anyway, I noticed that a lot of times the issue isn't leaving, the issue is staying gone. Because when you leave, that tends to make that, you know, that person try to change, I guess you could say, a little more. And then you end up thinking, oh, okay, I can give them another chance. And so I know a lot of that tends to be hard too, but those are some excellent tips. Releasing by the water and sound healing, especially. And like you said, asking for guidance. Even me, just like in dealing with my own matters on a day-to-day basis, that's something that I definitely do as well. What about you guys? Any tips on how to stay centered and grounded?
If I can say this much, man, I don't know if Jay want to say something because he's been kind of quiet.
Go ahead.
All right, I knew he was gonna say that, but I just figured I'd throw it out there. Well, because the biggest thing that for me personally has helped, it's acceptance. You know what I mean? You got to accept the situation. You got to accept the fact that, you know, it sucks. You know what I mean? But it is what it is, right? As far as like your child has two different homes, parents that are raising them and providing advice and stuff like that in separate environments. And in my case, for example, with my son, who I am not the primary parent, so my son's not with me all the time, you know, understanding my role, you know what I mean? And understanding that his mother is doing a hell of a job, you know what I mean, within her reality. Whether that reality is not the same as mine, whether she's not, you know, I'm meditating and manifesting and journaling, well, you could, because you have no control over that. You know what I mean? And even if I suggested it would not, you know, she might blow me off, she might not. Okay, fine. I can't control that. All I can control is having healthy communication with her, right? With no expectations of what she's going to receive it or not receive it. All I can do is my best. I also got to understand that I have control of how I respond and react to when she upsets me. And when we disagree on certain shit, you know, I can't control anything that she does or doesn't do.
Yeah.
I have control of what advice and what guidance I give to my son from my means. I've also learned that you gotta know yourself, right? So if I can go to bed every night saying, yo, I did the best that I could for my son today, whether I'm not there physically or not, whether I'm there physically or not, I need to be able to be at peace with that also, without feeling like, you know, letting, you know, I don't know, you're gonna feel guilty. I know I feel guilty. Like he has a football game tomorrow, for example, my 12-year-old, and I can't be there, and like it's eating me alive and shit, right? But it's the other one's birthday, so I gotta be here for that, and I'm, you know, it's a lot going on. So, but you know, it's a mental struggle that is fun and it's okay. It's part of the journey. But at the end of the day, all you gotta do is provide the best guidance that you can. You know what I mean? Do the best that you can. Make sure that your children feel your love, especially for men. You know, sometimes we want to be too tough and all that shit. Like, listen, I don't see my little son. I don't see my son all the time. So when I do see him, get your little big ass over here and give me a fucking hug. You know what I mean? Like I'm gonna love on you, bro. Like you're gonna feel this fucking daddy love. You know what I mean? Like I don't care. While at the same time, understanding that I'm raising a black man in America, so I gotta fucking drop some knowledge on his ass too. You know what I'm saying? So is that balance and just doing the best that you can. And this is my new word for the last couple of months, being intentional about everything you do, especially when it comes to parenting. Just be intentional about the shit. You can do that shit and it's easy. I mean, not easy, but it's easy to at least know what the fuck to do. You know what I mean? It's simple. You know what I mean? So
the biggest thing to me that you pointed out just now was acceptance. And when you said you have to accept that they're doing the best they can in their reality, specifically, to me, that was the aha moment, because their reality isn't necessarily going to be the same as our reality. And at some point, we have to accept that every single one of us is on a divine journey. It's just that some of us aren't aware of that, you know, divinity, pun intended. No, not all of us are aware of that divinity within our journey and are aware that our journey here on earth is, you know, a journey of self-discovery and things of that nature. And when someone does not realize that, and you are co-parenting with them, giving them grace for being on that journey is monumental. in finding that acceptance within yourself. So that was an excellent, excellent point. Jay, you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, a few things. I think it's very important to start having conversations before an issue arises. I think just pre-planning and coming up with hypotheticals like before it's reality, like getting a good understanding of where you both are as a parent, what direction you want to go in. I think that helps with acceptance. Like I might not agree with your plan, but you have a plan and you've thought it out and we've talked about it, and it makes you more comfortable to say, all right, cool, like let's try your plan and let's see how that goes, as opposed to never talking about anything, not having that communication or that that partnership and that teamwork, so that you're not like thrown for a loop. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, you just made a random decision to do this, that, and the other without consulting me. Also, I think respect is a very key component when it comes to co-parenting. Respecting people's beliefs, respecting, you know, their own research, whatever it is that they, you know, dove into that got them to their conclusion or their strategy or their thought process. I respect that. You know what I'm saying? I might not agree, but I respect it. And I think once you start respecting each other, you start giving room for you to compromise more. Like, okay, last time we did my decision or my idea or whatever, like, let's try yours. You know what I'm saying? Like the fight starts to die out when you respect each other. Like even with the little things, like, all right, it's not a power move anymore. It's more of a, now we respect each other and we're on the same team and we see the destination. So now we can work together and compromise as we see fit. And the more you give that other person trust, I think the more you have less of a need to like intervene or interfere or take all the power into your own hands. It's like, all right, bet, I didn't think that this was going to work, but we tried it and it did work. So boom,
That shit sound good as hell.
Opportunity, you know what I'm saying? Like, keep going, you know what I'm saying? And vice versa. You know what I'm saying? When they let you, you know, make a decision and it actually works, it's like, damn, well, I don't know everything. Like Rob said, like none of us are A1 parent. No one is the perfect parent that's going to get everything right. So we have to give each other that grace and that space to make good decisions and bad decisions. And once we see like, okay, it's not only my way that works, that gives you the opportunity to be like, all right, bet we can actually co-parent from afar or from a distance or with two different philosophies, and it can still work out for the kids.
That's real.
Yeah, Martin Luther King, that's some idea that shit you dropped on him.
We were waiting for that. Thank you for showing up.
I have a dream, man.
Get a healthy ass out of here, man. That shit ain't real, nigga.
That shit is not
That's not how it
real.
works.
I look forward to it one day, hopefully. That's all.
Listen, I'm over here like, man, that shit.
Hey, hold on, man. Listen, this dude said, well, we tried it my way, it didn't work out. Cool. I told your ass the shit wasn't gonna work, motherfucker. That's what you're gonna hear. Like,
nah, listen, it'd have been like a whole bunch of yelling on the phone. And,
yeah, nigga, like this.
But that goes.
Now you can't talk to him right now. All that.
That goes back to Mick's point. Acceptance, right? That need to want to like yell and scream and be like, yo, you dumb. Like that comes from fear.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, damn, I fear what will continue to happen or what will happen if we allow you to have the reins to the ship. As opposed to I accept it and I have faith and things are going to work out for my kids regardless. Like I've already made that up in my mind. No matter what happens in their life, they're going to be good, right? So I don't care what happens. I know they're going to be good. I'm not going to freak out or I'm not going to spaz out.
So what is the fear then? I mean, like generally speaking,
Jesse
like,
Jackson,
what's the worst that
Julian.
could happen in that type of situation? Is your fear really for your child, or is it really for you losing control?
That's a good question.
I feel like that's something that may like require deeper shadow work. Sharell, what's that face for?
That was deep.
Well, no. So Jade, no, I totally get what you're saying. It sounds very utopian like. So it's like, what happens when, okay, you respect that person and you know to respect that person because you're on that journey of awareness and healing, but they don't respect you. Can you still, like, is it possible to even respect the person who doesn't respect you?
Mm-mm.
No.
I think KD just answered your question though about what the fear is.
Go ahead.
Sorry guys, I'm just reading it as it comes through. She said co-parents lack trust in the relationship and each other. So that could be where the fear comes in at, because I've seen it. Like, I'm not a natural parent, but I've been the significant other of the parent going through the toxic co-parenting situation.
Yeah.
I think it also, the approach you take, from what I've noticed, right, in trying to co-parent with people that have not been through quote unquote broken homes. I come from a divorced household, right? So my parents split when I was like 7 or 8 or whatever it is. And I know how that affected me personally. You know what I mean? So a lot of my frustration and a lot of the way I move comes from knowing how shit's gonna affect my children. You know what I'm saying? And that's not saying that the frustration is just about how my kids' moms act or do whatever the fuck. It's also about how I'm doing and not doing and the role that I'm playing. Like, all this shit is very intricate, you know what I'm saying? But I also think that having lived through it will help you, like, kind of take a step back, breathe, and make like a sound decision, because you know, like, everything, even the littlest thing that you do and don't do is gonna affect your children. You know what I'm saying? And you're gonna make mistakes, yo. Like, that's part of the fucking game, right? Especially when you know, moms might be at home having a bad day and she might say some shit that she didn't mean to say in front of the kid, but she just frustrated. And your kid comes back and be like, yo, you really a piece of shit, daddy. You know what I mean? You be like, not that I've experienced that personally, not those words, you know what I'm saying? But you gotta say, well, mom's had a bad day. It's not like, yo, what the fuck you say about me? You know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta be able to kind of absorb a little bit of because you're putting your kid first. You know what I'm saying? Without showing your kid that when mommy's mad, daddy's gonna be mad also, or whatever it is. You know what I mean? It's kind of like a give and take type shit that a lot of times I've noticed in my own experience that parents that have not experienced, you know what I mean, divorce themselves might approach a little bit differently. It might be a little more like, oh, you doing that shit because you used to that. You know what I mean? This is what you're used to. Like, you don't know what having 2 parents at the same time is like, damn, son, like, chill the fuck out. You know what I mean? Like, it's tough, but it's doable. You know what I mean? It's just doable. You just gotta, whatever's in front of you, you gotta just, you know, keep your kids' wellness, safety first, and move on from there. You know what I mean? Move from there.
Right. Divinity, you were gonna say something.
Yeah, since I'm fresh in this co-parent game, you know, choosing single motherhood, you know, for my peace and sanity was a very hard choice to make. And there was a time where I had hope, and then I had went back and it crashed in like a month, you know? So for me, trying to have that, like, keeping my children in the forefront to make sure that they're happy and taken care of and well, you know, what I do is I just make sure that, like, if he picks the kids up from daycare, don't talk to me, just focus on the kids. Whatever we have to talk about, you can handle it later. Like, I try to put a lot of emphasis on when we have the kids need to be our focus. The kids need to have our love. They need to make sure that we're there and we're present. We're not just on our phones, cussing each other out, you know? So that's one thing I could say that I'm working through right now. Just really making sure that, because I feel like I'm parenting with a toxic ex. So I'm making sure that we focus on our kids now, and there's not too much of a back and forth. Like, if we want to talk, wait till they're put to bed, wait till they're asleep after they've eaten, they've washed up. You know, for me, their care is my primary concern. And whatever we have to talk about will come after they're settled and after they're maintained and well taken care of.
Absolutely, absolutely. So my question is, these relationships that you were in that have resulted in toxic co-parentship, what lessons have you guys learned that you will take into future relationships?
Hey, hold on, Grace. Before anybody answers, this is fucking Facebook Live. Don't go out here, folks. Don't tell people that your ex might hear this shit and.
Yeah, we're gonna manage. You know,
well,
we're
no,
gonna manage, but
no, the reality of it is like it's one thing to deal with a toxic co-parent. Good luck with that shit, because you're gonna be in living hell. It's another thing to be in a situation where you're both learning how to co-parent. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And your journeys are kind of going different directions, but you got to come back and meet somewhere in the middle for your kids, and then go back to your worlds and come back. That shit is difficult. Mm-hmm. So it's not so much as like dealing with a toxic person as it is that you're trying to figure it out on your own, and you're trying to figure it out on your own, as opposed to you both trying to figure it out in the same household and laying in the same bed at night, talking about the problems that the kid has and trying to figure it out. That shit that Jake described earlier, that shit is perfect for a marriage or a cohabiting situation. But it's not that easy for people that are in different households and navigating life and separately. You know what I mean? Like my son's mom is not gonna call me like, "Yo, I got a new job," or I had a bad date. Like, we're not doing that shit, right? Jay's baby mom does. Bless up, bro. Like,
Jay's in a healthy relationship.
Blessings, bro.
Fuck you a little bit, but bless up, bro. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a little jealous and I ain't gonna hold you. But you can't have those expectations. But it's not really, it doesn't make the other person or you toxic. You're just trying to figure your life out as you're trying to figure out co-parenting at the same time.
Yeah, two different worlds that you're trying to make.
I'm talking about your toxic exes here, yo. Don't do that shit. They're not here. Divinity, you know what I mean? Like,
Divinity, chill.
I didn't say nothing. Well, I'm not taking it back. I said what I said.
That's the spirit. There you go.
I'll fuck with you.
We had a light bulb moment in our comments, which I think goes in line with what Miguel was actually just saying. She says, maybe the true conversation is not co-parenting with a toxic parent, but two parents trying to parent when they are unhealed. And that change in perspective is huge. They aren't trying to be a terrible parent, but they are hurt from the adult shit that you created within them.
Yeah, I don't think anyone at all, is intentionally trying to be a toxic parent or a toxic person, period. We're all just operating from a place of protecting our ego at the end of the day, protecting our heart or whatever the case is. So yeah, that makes perfect sense. What do you guys have to say about that? I got nothing. What's that for?
I just said it. I just said the same thing they said, basically, is what it is. Like,
Yeah, I guess you're right. I just, I don't know. It's interesting. So when you talk about, and again, like, I don't mean for you guys to talk about your specific, like the people themselves, of course, but in terms of the lessons that you learned for yourself and maybe even about yourself, in terms of going back to what you said, as far as, just two people, what am I trying to say? Two people trying to
figure it out
themselves and figure it out themselves, and then the kid just gets in the middle. Like, what lessons have you learned in regards to dealing with yourself in that you would take in the future, not even just for future relationships, but just for yourself?
I would say, well, the lesson that I learned was it's important to seek harmony in all things, in all conversations, in all situations. It's very easy to see that co-parenting partner or your spouse as the problem or the enemy, as opposed to highlighting and identifying what the real problem is and allowing us to work together to combat that problem. And sometimes the kid isn't the issue. Like, sometimes it has nothing to do with the kid, right? We're just creating and dragging our personal issues with each other into our decisions that we want to make for the child. And if there's no beef, if there's no enemy between us, then now we're operating from a place of harmony and love. You know what I mean? And that makes it a lot easier to make decisions for children and even allow them to be a part of the process, depending on how old they are, right? Because you're just creating an environment where we're just flowing, you know what I'm saying? Just based off of the positive energy that's within the relationships and the household. And that was something that I didn't have when I was, you know, in my previous relationship. It was a constant battle, you know what I'm saying? Mainly for personal reasons, not co-parenting. But if I had looked back at a lot of our conversations, a lot of things we had issues with, like sometimes it's semantics. Like I'm big on the little things, right? The little things, I'll make a big deal out of it. And it's like, really, we're saying the same thing, but two different ways. And because you're not saying it my way, I have a problem with that. And you know what I'm saying? So if I had stepped back to just think, okay, what is actually the problem or the issue? Or where are we actually trying to go, and take that time to process it and make a decision, that would have been great for me. What I've learned as an adult, or as an older adult now, you don't always have to have a conversation at the very moment that the other person wants to have that conversation. If you're not in the mood, if you're not in the headspace, if you're going through something, sometimes that's not the right time to speak. And I've done better with saying, can't talk about that right now. Like, can we plan to speak about this at a later time? And that has saved a lot of issues, you know, when it comes to just having conversations and making decisions with other people.
And that involves a lot of restraint, self-restraint, that is, because I know even without kids in the picture, that's hard for me to have something that's pressing on my heart that I want to discuss, and my partner is not willing to discuss it right then and there. But I mean, again, I get that, because that's also a part of respecting their own journey, which also respects their timing. You know, everybody operates within their own divine timing. So that makes perfect sense. I get that totally. Anybody else?
I do want to answer that question. Moving forward with somebody else, what I have learned, just from my experience as a whole, is that how a person treats you during stressful and hard times matters. Are they going to belittle you or beat you down or just spill all that out on you? Or are they going to say, you know, man, I'm just having a bad day. Just give me a second. Let me step to the side. You know what I'm saying? So everybody goes through hard and stressful times. And that's something that I've learned to look out for and to actually anticipate when going into or meeting somebody new, another relationship or something. You know, I want us to go through a hard time or something, because I want to see, how will we float? How can we stay afloat? How will we handle this together that still respects one another? And, you know, we can say, like I said, you know, today's just not a good day. Let me just go lay down. I'll holler at you later, you know? So that's something that I learned.
That's cool. Who interrupting the podcast? Who's that?
My bad. My son called me.
Oh, perfect timing, right?
Right.
Oh, James was like,
Nah, dead ass. My little man. He needs help with Spanish homework, so I gotta help him out. But I got him.
oh, it's pressing. Anybody else have any tips or anything before we go, as far as tips or lessons, that is, for the people out there that may be also struggling with dealing with the toxic ex while they're on?
Let's see. Max says it's important to see a partner in every season. So going back to what Divinity just said, I did read something on Exo Nicole, because y'all know I love to get into my articles when we talk about our topics. And they actually have a guide to co-parenting with a toxic parent without losing your mind. And they mentioned something that I had never heard of before, but it's called parallel parenting versus using the term co-parenting. And basically, parallel parenting seems to be like this is about to sound bad, but just stick with me, emotionless parenting as far as the parents are concerned with each other.
Yeah.
So yeah, like a business kind of relationship between the parents versus something that gets charged emotionally.
Yeah.
Well, that's me.
To have that type of parallel relationship, because I mean,
Which
like,
is-
what'd you say?
Nah, I couldn't hear you. What did you say?
I was asking Sharell, how could, well, I mean, does it say or mention in the article, how could you even begin to have that type of parallel style parentship or relationship? Because I mean, I think it's obvious that ideally we would like to remain emotionless, but a lot of us can't help those emotions, you know?
Well, what the article had said was essentially it's emotionless, but a lot of parents that take that route end up focusing mostly on the children. And by doing that, they kind of sort of develop a friendship from it to where they can actually work with each other.
In
No,
a
I mean,
perfect world.
No, I mean, I guess I was practicing a parallel before it was called parallel. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying because like, I treat this like a business. Like if it's not containing this, I have nothing to talk about. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, I guess it's sad to say, but you know what I'm saying, my daughter is now 19 and I don't necessarily have to discuss anything with her mother. You know what I'm saying? So, and it's been like that for, years. You know what I'm saying? So if like she lived with me up until the end of school. So school decisions, like I wasn't, you know what I'm saying, calling her mom for any school decisions, extracurricular activities. I wasn't on the phone. I was making it all because it was coming out of my pocket anyway. I sorry to say, I didn't give a fuck about how you felt about it because I'm paying for it anyway. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to the school, I'm doing this. So I guess it was essentially parallel parenting before I knew that's what it was called. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, I treated it as business. If we don't have this particular thing to talk about, then we don't have anything to talk about because I caught myself like losing my mind arguing with you because you really don't care because you're not dealing with it in here anyway. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I couldn't call to get the supportive person. You know what I'm saying? It was, try to call. Like once I would call and then I would get the, her calling my daughter, and then that conversation led to not supporting me, but basically like, well, your dad said you weren't supporting me. You were basically saying because of I said it, you're only calling. You're not calling to justify the action. You're calling because I essentially told you to call. You know what I'm saying? So
right.
once that started happening, then I was like, you know what? I don't have to deal with that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to call to talk to you for you to call and say, well, your dad this or your dad that. Well, it wasn't a supportive role. Like I didn't have a supporting actor in this, you know what I'm saying, in this movie. So I'm just doing everything on my own. So I don't need your help. You know what I'm saying? So everything is the emotionalist. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's a dope ass alternative to toxic co-parenting, quote unquote.
Right.
But obviously, if I'm looking at it, not ideal, right? Like the goal should be to be able to have conversations about your kids. Right. The goal should be like, you can share a funny moment that happened in school or at home or whatever it is, like with the other parent, and have, I've been on the phone with my children's mothers that I'm no longer with, like for hours sometimes, strictly talking about our kids and shit. And some people even find that shit funny. I remember a few years ago, another factor that we haven't touched on today is the fact that at some point, most likely than not, you're going to have step parents in the picture too. And that's another aspect that we got to deal with. And sometimes there's toxicity in that shit too, right? But I remember, like, I posted one time, I gave my my daughter's stepdad a shout out on Facebook on Father's Day. I say, yo, thank you, because you're there every day, bro. You know what I mean? Like, you on some real manhandling shit, like, yo, you doing your thing type shit. And I feel my homeboy sit me in the side like, ain't no fucking way, bro, I would give another man prize for raising my kid. I'm thinking in my head, like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Right.
Like, this is, I mean, I'm saying, like, how the fuck can you translate what I wrote into, like, you know what I mean? Like, and so that pride, that level of insecurity that we have as men and shit, we gotta drop that shit, yo. Like, period.
I think that level, that response to something that you posted it comes from a place of insecurity within themselves. Maybe they feel like they haven't stepped up to be the best father possible. So they're coming from, you know, the angle of, okay, why would I give another man a shout out if I
can't even say that though, because some of the cats that did are excellent fathers, like single fathers, like, you know, some people. It's just, it's not really. I don't think it's as much as the parenting part of it as it is like looking at it like, I mean, another man prize for taking care of you. That's what it looked like to them, I guess. You know what I mean?
But you're not there, so like what else did you expect?
Right.
I don't know, bro. But you know, is okay. So I say that to make a point, but I also want to make the other point is that my post triggers something, right? Trigger a response, and when you're faced with that response from your homies or whatever it is, like we have a chance to impact change. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because I could have been like, well, that's you, bro. Get the fuck out of my face. Like, you know what I mean? Fuck you, move on type. Or I could be like, yo, bro, this is why I said it. Like, depending on who the person is and how they approach you about it, you know, we also have a chance to affect change. I've learned that shit with suicide prevention, talking about mental health. Even I know the two gentlemen in here with me know they both have conversation with guys that feel like, yo, a man's group, fucking niggas doing over there, talking about your feelings and shit, you all sad, or you hugging each other, motherfuckers, and all that shit. Like, nah, bitch, my bad. Sorry, I didn't get that. I'm my whole spiritual gangster here. Dead ass, man. That shit be pissing me off. Yeah. But we have a chance to affect change, you know what I mean? Like, by having those, don't shy away from it. Have the conversations. You know what I mean? Rob will tell you, I'll tell you right now, man, I'm 43 years old, one of the flyest motherfuckers on the planet, but yeah, I try to kill myself. You know what I mean? I be depressed sometimes. You know what I mean? I deal with anxiety. I be scared. I be crying watching like cartoons and shit. You know what I mean? Like, yo, An American Tale when Fievel and his sister get separated and they both crying and singing a little song. That shit. If you don't fucking cry, nigga, when Mufasa dies, fuck out of here.
Nah, listen, yo.
I'm still a thug.
No, listen. Yo, I was watching like, I don't know, went down a rabbit hole of like Ellen show, like Ellen giving back.
No, you can't do that, nigga. Out. I'm like, up high. Nigga.
I'm like, why am I crying, right? What is wrong?
That's beautiful though. That's the type of transparency and vulnerability. In the black
tears, like I'm in tears watching Steve Harvey and like Ellen giving back. I'm like, why am I crying right now?
But in all honesty, why would you not cry with something like that though? That's the conditioning, patriarchal conditioning.
But that's how I know I have transformed into a different person. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm literally, I wouldn't even care. Like, you know what I'm saying? I hear songs on the radio. I'm like, yo, this is deep. Like, crying.
Hey, yo, I was bumping Sinead O'Connor, Nothing Compares. Remember that little boy head thing?
Oh, yes.
Yo, what the fuck? When I was a little kid, I didn't really understand, but now,
yo,
damn, that's that. You seen the video? She's like real tears in her eyes.
Yo, listen.
And Prince wrote that shit, by the way. It's a Prince song. Y'all didn't know.
Yo, listen. Like I was going to the gym.
You be crying, yo. I be doing this shit too at the gym in the parking lot. I be sitting.
Yo, I was going to the gym, right? I don't know, like Kirk Franklin Love Theory came on.
Nah, bro, you can't do that. Not in the gym, yeah.
No, but it like just to like the song. I don't know. Maybe I was going through something at that moment, but I'm balling. Like,
I'm mad you're like really laughing at that though. I don't see the problem in that.
It's real shit though. but the point that I'm making is like we gotta be able to have this conversation
Oh
and,
my God.
and normalize this shit. You know what I mean? Just like normalizing like, yo, co-parenting and moving on and owning your shit. I think, and I want to make this point. I know we gotta go soon, but yo, focus on your own fucking happiness too. You know what I mean? Misery loves company.
I'm learning how to let people cap in peace, bro.
Bro, listen, man, like you gotta focus on your own happiness and let, you know, if you put, again, you gotta be intentional about your kids' well-being, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you bad mouthing up the other parent, that shit is it's not healthy, it's not good. And at the end of the day, it might come back to bite you in the ass, because when your kids grow up, they'll be like, yo, hold on, you was doing a lot of talking, and now I see whatever, right? So don't do that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Focus on your own happiness. Don't project your own anger or emotions about a failed relationship onto the parenting tip. We do that shit a lot too. You know what I mean? So that's the piece of advice that I can give people.
Yeah, and I think we can end on that note. That was excellent advice. And you wanted to say something, Jen?
Something real quick. As far as being intentional, I think something that we didn't talk about that is very important because of what we're doing is being intentional about creating the right tribe that is going to be there to help support you be a parent. You know, we talk about like how to co-parent with a toxic ex and not go crazy. Like having a tribe with you.
Yeah, that's big facts though.
Is going to help you major in that way. You know what I'm saying? Not being able to just, it's just you on the island co-parenting with this person who is not trying to support you or.
Oh, shameless plug.
MBK, right.
We got MBK and Goddess Movement. That's priceless. You know what I mean? Being intentional about having the right spiritual guides, the right mental health and physical health people in your life that can help you with your kids, tutors, whatever it is, you know what I'm saying? But having access to people who specialize in areas that you don't specialize in. I think a lot of people take that for granted. And that's one thing we preach a lot in MBK. It's like, bro, you don't have to know everything. Like, I'm Caribbean, so I've been raised by men who think they should know everything about everything. Like, they can't be wrong about nothing, right? And it's just like, nah, you don't have to be the expert on everything. I got Mig, I got Rob, I got Jonas, Tabari, whoever, like a long list of people who are great at what they do and have been spending decades doing it. Boom, you can help assist me with this. I got questions, you got the answers. Like, so that tribe is important. Also with showing your significant other or ex, like, yo, like, we're all healthy here. We're all fighting for our, you know, our healing. Like, you look crazy. You know, when it's just two people, they can think you're the crazy one and be totally crazy. But when it's a whole tribe, like, yo, you bugging, they gonna have to look at themselves at some point in time and be like, all right, I need to work on myself. So the power of a tribe is valuable. I just
make sure that tribe checks the fuck out of you when you need to be checked too.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
You know
too.
what I mean? You need that too. You need that support, that love. But yo, make sure you surround yourself with motherfuckers that are gonna be like, nah, bro, you're wrong on this one. And that's okay too. You need that shit too.
Yeah, you gotta have the folks around you to give you constructive criticism. That's not afraid to tell you the, you know what I'm saying, the wrong shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, you wrong for that.
And receive that shit. You gotta be able to receive it.
You have to be.
It's a lot to it. It's a lot to it, but we getting there.
Yeah, I want to thank you guys because I think you have helped the viewers a lot in, if nothing else, showing them that they're not alone and showing them that they're not crazy for, you know, dealing with this type of issue or even making mistakes and failing when they're on their own spiritual or personal development journey. So I want to thank you all for your expertise, your experiences, and you know, your tips in regards to this topic. Does anybody have anything they want to shout out or promote really quickly before we end this call? The Goddess Movement, community.com, MBK, My Brother's Keeper.
Website coming next month. We got a next brunch coming next month, September 19th. Be on the lookout for the flyer. We just had our first one this past Sunday. That shit was beyond successful, a whole fucking vibe. And my brother Rob, my nephew Rob's gonna be there on the next one. So come through. What else?
Nice call.
We got mad shit going on.
Tonight's call for the men.
Oh yeah. When you get off this call, like go grab a beer or something and join us for part 2 of Stressful Night at the MBK Tribe, because we're talking about the institution of marriage at 8:30 on Zoom. If you need the link, it's on my page, Rob's page, Jay's page, all over the place. What else we got, y'all?
Yeah, why her face like that?
No, Sharell.
All of them facial expressions be killing me.
It's what I do. I don't talk, so I make faces.
Sharell, shout your website out real quick.
Oh yeah, my website, awinspiring.org, and that is awinspiring.org. It's my blog site. I have been working on a lot of new materials, so we got something coming up called Tasty Tuesdays.
Hey.
So be ready. Nah,
Tuesdays,
not that.
no.
Miguel, no. Mm-mm.
What? Not what? What the fuck just happened? What?
that look looked like a microphone.
Man, I'm on my spiritual shit. Here y'all go, man.
That's you. We anticipate your moves. Divinity, shout the site out.
My website is divinityshrine.com. I do have a event coming up this Sunday where I'm going to be venting with my own tent with the breastfeeding mommies and giving them sound healing and sound therapy. And after that, I believe I'm going to go into a hiatus is what you call it. I'm going to really take some time to really work, to really love on myself and do my self healing. So yeah, that's coming up. And I am excited for that.
You've been working so hard all year. You deserve some time for you.
Yeah.
Well, once again, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us. And thank you, everyone in the audience, for watching us or listening to us. You can find us on all podcast platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeart, and what have you. So we will see you next episode where we are discussing poly relationships versus monogamous relationships. So we're really excited about that. The Goddess Movement MBK.com. Make sure you check it out, and we'll see you guys next time.